Hi, Colin. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How you doing, Pete?
Good, good, good. So we're on the Skype phone with my good friend Colin Nelson, who is the principal, I believe, of Habar Consulting. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep, I'm founder and principal consultant here.
So it was easy to get that job?
Yeah, it's amazing the process they made you go through, but I'm actually secured it.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So why don't you give us an idea of what Habar Consulting is, and then we can get into sort of customers that might be able to leverage what you guys have got going.
Sure. So the reason that Habar Consulting was set up was in recognition that there was a need out there, typically by big, complex organizations, for some independent, good quality advice and guidance around effective collaboration programs. I think in reaction to organizations seeing the growth of things like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, they looked at this networking that's happening out there in the social community and thought, how do we take this in-house and actually drive some significant business benefit from it? So what I've done is to use my process expertise in this area, set up Habar Consulting with its own capabilities to support that need.
Excellent, excellent. And I know you've already had some interesting customer engagements.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what's the typical um, engagement you get involved in? Is it at the senior levels, or is it a division that finds you? How does that sort of work?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. There's certainly some places where I'm advising, really as a traditional consultant with CEOs or founding partners of organizations where they need some guidance around this deep process area that clearly we offer. But equally, there are certain divisions or communities within large organizations that have a need to try and understand this area more with a view to implementing a program. And clearly then the next stage is to go ahead and implement. So it really does sit in both places. Certainly we have some CEO type conversations around the power of the workforce, engaging that as a group, or the power of third parties or customers and how we can engage those. And then there's the divisional responsibility of where there's an interest for a particular sector or a wider need.
And what are some of the business challenges? Are they like product planning challenges? Like, I would think portfolio management for a company is a big one. Do I have the right products to sell? What?
Yeah, I think the most common ones that are coming up is around development of new products or services.
Mm-hmm.
So traditional, I guess you'd say, front-end innovation. How do we harness the insights of our employees or third parties to help either bring forward better products or develop the products that we have to market already? So how do we get a greater diversity of opinion focused upon what we're doing already, or potentially bringing together new stuff? And really collaboration led. So the point is not just around new things, it's about using this diversity of opinion to improve the ideas and concepts and solutions of others, and using the sort of intuitive and counterintuitive aspects of that to drive up the quality, find new stuff, and occasionally solving problems as well.
Right. And you mentioned earlier aspects of social media as
Mm.
a thought starter, where it's sort of gotten people thinking more about collaboration.
Yeah.
Have you developed any programs where you're actually leveraging Twitter, Facebook, specifically in interesting ways as part of the program, or is that just a sidebar?
It's a bit of a sidebar, but there's certainly an area of conversation, particularly for organizations that are looking to engage their customers, whether those are techniques that they can employ. I think there's a genuine lack of understanding of the best ways to employ community spaces for material business benefit. I think most organizations recognize that you can have a Twitter feed, you can have a LinkedIn community, something that's going to drive some form of engagement with your end clients or potentially your supply chain as well. The question mark, though, becomes is how do you use that to the maximum benefit to your organization? And
Right.
I think that's something that organizations still struggle with. The more tangible and easier to get their head around is how you engage employees on things that you're trying to work on, because they are employees and by definition they have an interest in your success. But not necessarily the same is true when you're talking about consumers. But certainly that's an area that people are interested in, and what I'm trying to encourage them to do is to think about perhaps the more simpler aspects of it first before they move on to the stuff which is a little bit further away, a little bit more difficult to address.
Great. I'm going to give you a social media business tip, and I've stolen it directly from the girls' field hockey team at my daughter's high school. So when they talk about getting together a bunch of people to plan something, you know what they talk about? They talk about an inbox on Facebook. I'm like, what do you mean an inbox? And what they do is, and it's part of the way Facebook operates, and I just don't think people think about it as a business tool. I think it's a powerful one potentially. Is if you send a note to a group of people through Facebook, so you go into the inbox function, and then you start a new note, and you copy a bunch of people on it. Anybody that replies to that note will reply to all those people.
That's right.
In order to not collaborate, you have to take another step to send a direct note to that person that sent the note to you. But it's almost a forced group function. So if you want to very quickly get input on, from maybe your top 3 customers on the best date for our upcoming conference, that's a good example, right? Hey,
sure.
We please help us, do a little date planning here. We're thinking about our conference being in August, or September, or maybe in February. Tell us some weekends that are horrible for you.
Yeah.
Right?
So interesting. It's the opposite way around to email, where people can, the default is to exclude people. You're not doing a reply to all, whereas the default on Facebook is you are including everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of, so I wasn't aware of that particular example, but a lot of the synergy there with some of the other approaches that I'm talking about, which is a forced collaboration. So you make everybody aware of everything that's going on, and they pick and choose the bits that are interesting to them, but they don't have an option to exclude themselves unless they specifically want to disengage. So, I think that's true. Because you never know where the idea or the insight or the solution to the problem is going to sit. So it's always helpful.
Yeah, I think it's an awfully interesting and powerful a tool within Facebook, and assuming that we have a fair number of our business contacts on Facebook is pretty powerful. I'm LinkedIn groups, certainly you can do plenty with LinkedIn groups, but they're more opt-in.
They are. Yeah, I think there's an underlying point here around appropriateness of the message.
Right.
So I think if the message is appropriate, then people will support it. I think as soon as they see a lack of focus or something that's not so relevant to them, that's when people begin to disengage.
Right.
And so providing you can keep it focused and appropriate, then it's all good.
Excellent. Well, I think this is a good little chat. And I maybe we can do it again sometime and talk about some of your other topics. But
sure, anytime.
I think this was really fun and got some good ideas on there. Certainly wish you success with Habar, and hopefully we'll get to do some work together.
Great, I appreciate it, Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.